because you forgot to do that the last couple. We can't hear anything.
Welcome to the 188th episode of the Alter Ego Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Austin. With me, as always, Mr. Ryan. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm a little sad that I missed 187.
Oh,
But
that's
I didn't
right.
realize it was
On a
187.
Oh,
Yeah,
last
did we
week.
both miss that? Was that the last episode?
you weren't here, but
was.
he was here.
I was.
Oh,
So he was here. He was live and in person. Mr. Nello, it is his anniversary today, so all the love to him and his beautiful wife Laura. I hope y'all are having a great time. Take that break. Y'all don't know this about Nello, but my man works 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
I hope he's
So-
nowhere near a kitchen or a restaurant, bro.
For real. Order in, bruh. Don't even leave the hotel. So I
just
hope
get
you're having
Uber Eats.
a good time. Yes, exactly. Nello, we love you. We'll see you next week with more conspiracy theories that roll my eyes so far back into my head. I can't believe it. Wow. Hey, is it Thunderbolts week? I think it is, right?
No,
premiere in
10 days
London
away.
today, right? The
No,
premiere
you're
in
10
London. Okay. 10 days.
Oh, if you're talking about like the special premiere, yeah, it's tomorrow.
Right. So people are actually getting their hands on that movie today, and it is getting wildly good reviews from what I hear. I mean, overwhelmingly positive for Thunderbolts.
Which
I'm
I was suspecting that would be the case. I mean, it's really easy to look at a trailer, a 2-minute trailer, and say, "Oh my God, this movie's going to be amazing. This movie's going to be horrible." But like I've talked about a couple times, there's a different vibe about this movie, something that Marvel hasn't put out yet.
yeah. But here's a beautiful thing that I think is making this movie work, and we've touched on it on this podcast a lot. Every single cast member has had screen time in the MCU already. They've been teed up. They know you don't need to learn a lot about them. So
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. Like, and although it's a fantastic movie, Shang-Chi, you don't know him. So you got to spend that movie learning him. The Eternals, you didn't know them. They didn't get a chance to.
Listen,
to
I'm
be
glad I don't
learned.
know them.
Right.
I don't never need to meet them again in life.
But
I know
that's
I'm
what
of the horrible minority in that, but I actually liked that movie.
I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it as much as everybody hates it. I'm not going out of my way to pop Eternals on, is all I'm saying. But I'm excited. That's going to be a good one. My topic for today, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm sure we'll get to a spoiler episode, but today ain't going to be it. Daredevil just finished, which is very exciting. Well, it's so funny.
I just think of that reel that I sent you last week. Just the thing in a leotard with no powers.
Oh, picking
Who's
a
that?
leotard with no powers. How does he know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny to me.
No, but it's they talk through it in the comics how he can tell which is which.
Well, he
Yeah.
can see. It's like echolocation.
Right, but that doesn't give him a color spectrum.
Yeah, but if each
No.
leotard has a different design to it,
Yeah, well, maybe you're right. But I just want to go through that a little bit at some point. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, so you don't need to run away or anything like that. And
I've got a great topic today.
have heard it. Oh, can't wait. And The Last of Us has gotten started. I think, bold prediction, The Last of Us is going to lose a ton of viewership after the most recent episode that just aired. Because call it a hunch.
I have
watched
not read good things.
I watched episode 1. I think the world building that they're doing is so cool. It really is. I think there are some new facets to the show that are going to be in season 2 that people are going to love or they're going to freaking hate. And from what I saw in episode 1, I think it's going to be great. But I know what happens in episode 2. And if you're a fan of this series, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Now, question: do they in episode 2 or season 2? Do they take place with the second game?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're a fan of the second game, you're probably gonna like it. If you're not, okay.
Actually, the second game got a lot of weird reviews.
That's what I was just
It
going to
did.
say.
It did.
Was
Yeah.
like some people really liked it, some people didn't care for it.
And that I think is a lot of the without
You know,
spoiling.
the weird thing about this show is, you know, usually when you see a show adapted off of like a video game or a comic book or something like that, you lose the core following. The people will still watch, like the normal regular TV people will still watch it. You lose the core following who are a fan beforehand, right?
Sure.
I think this is going to be the opposite with this show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you're gonna lose all of the TV goers who don't play the video games or don't read the comics. Those people are gonna leave. It's the people who played the second game. They're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna finish this out.
I agree. It's going to be interesting. I am going to watch it all the way through just because I think HBO has done a fantastic job with this world, the actors and actresses that make up this show. It's one of my big pet peeves, right? You guys know that I usually pick one one performance that I just can't stand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this is going to ruin it. Every time this person is on the screen for me, it's going to ruin something. I don't think that's going to happen with this one, but I've got high hopes for it. But episode 2, if y'all can get past it, let's see.
The only thing I was afraid of with that show, and this happens every once in a great while with shows, is that the first season set the bar so high.
Yeah,
Like it was that good. It was that amazing to where anything that wasn't that good at a basement level with season 2 was going to be a failure in the eyes of a lot of people.
Yeah, and I agree. And if you don't know the game, you're probably going to be very surprised. But the way they did season 1, going off of the game, like almost shot for shot with some scenes, was pretty incredible. So
That's that's kind of why I was a little worried about this. Is like I know that the first one they say it's great. A lot of people love the first game. The second one, it's like take it or leave it. And what I understand about the game and how it's supposed to be counter-centered, I'm like, I think I'm still in for it. From what I understand about the game, I think I'd still watch the second season.
Yeah.
But I hope they don't Hollywood it up too much. I hope they
Right.
kind of keep it a little.
I don't
the
think
game,
this show has been Hollywooded other than episodes 3 of season 1, the Bill episode, which I still thought was a great episode, but I felt it was very Hollywood and very, let's add a really woke addition to this.
But wasn't that like, weren't they actually in the game though?
They are in the game, not to the extent of which they are in the show.
Okay.
And it's more of a
It was
throw-
really glorified at the show.
very glorified.
Okay,
the show.
see-
And they changed the ending in the show
Yeah.
for those 2 characters as opposed
Now,
to
it was a phenomenal episode. I mean,
Really,
it
it
was
was.
one of those ones that actually succeeded in what they were trying to do. Was it overdone?
but it's
Probably. Is
Hollywood.
it something?
Yeah.
Is it something you could have chopped up in the middle of another episode? Most likely, yeah.
but still, I agree with Rhino. It's a great episode. Speaking of video game adaptations, Minecraft, 700 million worldwide. It's the #1 video game adaptation of all time. Why?
Jack Black.
Jack Black has a lot to do with it, but I think they saw what Mario did. Mario was a nostalgia overload, right? Well, you have a really big following with Minecraft. It's actually insane how big the Minecraft world is in terms of fans and whatnot. They went nostalgia overload on this movie. Like literally, I mean, you got, what is it, the chicken jockey that everyone's freaking out in the theaters about. I mean, people are actually doing that. You know that clip you saw people throwing popcorn? A buddy of mine took his son to see it south of Milwaukee. They did that in the theater.
Insane.
So I think it's doing well because A, Jack Black, like Ryan said, and then B, just all of the nostalgia you could shove into a movie.
Can we name it's his agent. Can we name a movie that Jack Black's in that has been bad?
I can't. Actually, I can. It was a long time ago, and he wasn't the star of the movie.
What was it?
It was that Bruce Willis movie where he was the
Jackal?
assassin.
The Jackal?
Yeah. I did not like him in that.
You didn't like Jack Black in that, or you didn't like the movie?
The movie was okay.
I was gonna
I
say
didn't like Jack.
you don't get a lot of time to like Jack Black in that movie. He's in it for all of 90 seconds.
but he was just, I don't know, he was like a grease ball in that movie. I don't know. Anyways, no, I can't think of anything that he's in that I dislike.
I just think it's Jack Black, man. He has the touch. He has that Midas touch, right? Anything he touches is turning to gold.
Especially this kind of movie, this style movie that's kind of made for kids. Like,
right.
Jack Black's like perfect because he also he was in Mario too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Bowser, right? So I mean, there you go.
He's a household name for sure.
I can't remember if we talked about this too, but I really loved that they gave that streamer a shout out at the end of the Minecraft movie. Did we talk about that last week?
You talked about it 2 weeks ago because you weren't here last week, but yeah, you told
Oh,
us
that's right. Yeah.
Away, right?
Yeah, he was a streamer. He passed away of cancer, and so that the pig with the crown at the end of it was his character.
That's awesome. You love seeing stuff like that, and I think the nostalgia, even if I don't get it, it still makes me appreciate it more. You know what I mean? When stuff like that happens, I'm like, that's really cool, even if it doesn't, I guess, make sense to me. Speaking of video games, we're on that track. Fortnite getting ready to get a big update. Star Wars coming into the game.
Tickly fingers.
You get the lightning fingers. Rumor has it you're going to get these characters. The Emperor. You're going to get... is it a different variant of Luke Skywalker? It looked like one. You're getting Mace Windu. You're getting somebody who's in a Chewbacca-esque suit, but it's not Chewbacca.
Was it an evil-looking Luke Skywalker?
No.
Oh, because there aren't really any variants of Luke Skywalker.
Right, unless it's the X-Wing pilot version of him. But I don't think that's it. But you also got somebody who looked like a Jedi. They had the Empire logo on their, or the Rebellion logo on their chest. A unknown Mandalorian, which is the one I'm the most excited for, other than Darth Jar Jar Binks. But
I think that's hilarious, dude.
That brings me, because the fans are the one who created that, which I thought was a brilliant way to make a throwaway character who, to me, I wasn't a fan of, have actual real purpose and be cool. But the fact that you're going to be able to fly X-Wings and TIE fighters in Fortnite, man, video games, dude. I remember being excited to be Mario and running along the screen and jumping up and uppercutting a block. And now you get to jump out of a bus, parachute in, pick up your guns, run around the area, pick up, Star Wars weapons if you want as your favorite character. If you want to be Mike Myers and go and fly a TIE fighter, you can do that. If you want to be freaking Lars Ulrich, you can jump down into, this world and do whatever you want. The freedom they give you in Fortnite is just absolutely insane. Go ahead, Ryan.
So what would make it better is if it was just a world where you just, a map dedicated to just Star Wars, like where you just have to nothing but pick up a lightsaber and go.
That would be sick. That would be sick. So this is actually really cool. I just pulled up the article about the new Fortnite season. So it's actually going to be a 5-week
mini
deal
season,
where each week has a different theme.
Yeah.
So the first week is Imperial Takeover. The second week is the Pull of the Force. Third week is Mandalorian Rising. Fourth week is Star Destroyer Bombardment. And the last week is Death Star Sabotage.
Are we going to be able to beam up into the Death Star and destroy it?
That would be awesome. That would be like if it's like the island. Remember that, the islands? Instead of there being islands, that pops up in the middle of the map and you can, go up to that.
That would be
words
sick.
are escaping my brain today. I don't know.
No, I get what you mean. They used to have helicarriers and islands that you could fly up to and get specialized loot. I don't want that. I want the straight up beam me up, Scotty, up into the Death Star.
Space.
Or you have to get a TIE fighter or an X-Wing and fly up there. Give me that. That would be pretty incredible, especially if you had to dogfight other players on the way up there. I mean, come on. You're talking about the most high-octane gameplay I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, that would be sick.
If that's the case. Anyway, what was your topic for today, Rhino? You said you were super excited about it.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Okay, because this one might trigger you a little bit.
Oh, boy. I'm already triggered.
It's just going to be a quick and simple question, and we're going to go from there.
I have even worse feelings now after I've heard that.
Is Battinson getting canceled?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Recent news has popped up with the Battinson franchise that Matt Reeves is threatening to walk away from the project if filming does not begin when previously scheduled, because we all know that they had delayed filming until 2026 now. It was supposed to start this fall. They pushed it back, I believe, 6 or 7 months.
I thought I
Now
saw
Matt Reeves,
production doesn't start this year. Not filming, but production. Like if work doesn't start on the movie this year, he's going to have to step away, not because he doesn't want to do it, but because of obligations elsewhere. Other
obligations elsewhere. And yeah, he's not like taking a personal vendetta against
right.
the Battinson franchise, but I do have a little conspiracy about this. I do.
Okay.
That makes perfect
Do
sense.
you think there is pressure on Warner Brothers from the DCU side of things to maybe try and sabotage that franchise so it doesn't continue?
Why?
Well,
People like making
Well, I mean, because James Gunn is separate from the Battinson universe. That's not his production company. That's not a part of his credentials for Warner Brothers. He has nothing to do with that.
well, hold on. That's not necessarily true because it flies under the DC banner. It does belong to James Gunn. He is the head of DC as a studio in general. Now, is it part of his universe that he's building and the cinematic story he's trying to tell? No. So on that front, does that make sense? Yes, because Battinson was in production and coming out before James Gunn got there. So that I definitely see could be if we're like reaching for something, but I agree with Ryan. Like that movie did very well. It did very well in a world of DC movies that don't do well.
But if I'm James Gunn, there's a part of me, and I'm not saying that he feels like this. I'm just saying if I was him, there's a part of me that wouldn't want to compete with another Batman that I wasn't a part of, because that puts pressure on my Batman to be as great, if not better than that Batman, because everyone is going to be like, well, James Gunn couldn't do a Batman as good as Battinson. Everyone's going to do that.
Here's the thing, though. See, that's the thing, too. You already have Battinson in place, right? Why not just take that one with it? And on top of that,
I thought they should have done that to begin with, but it's a completely different style of Batman.
That's not what Battinson wants from the rumors.
Yeah.
No matter what you do as James Gunn, you still got to get over Christopher Nolan's Batman and his Joker. No matter what you do,
that was my
Dark Knight is the top tier A. I don't care about any other.
That's the standard
you have. That is equal.
But why would you want yet another Batman? I mean, because let's be honest, he's also competing with Batfleck. Let's be completely honest here.
I mean, that was going to be my comment, and I don't think that you're incorrect, either of you. I think anybody who decides to put on the cowl and call themselves Batman is dealing with, all the way back to Adam West, every single Batman that's put it on before you. There's no matter, even if it's Leonardo DiCaprio decides to come out and play, who I think is one of the most fantastic actors on the planet.
We will be having white cake.
That's right.
The Batcave.
Just saying that, like, anybody who steps into that world, no matter what, is going to have to contend with that criticism, no matter what. Because everybody out there, we've said this with Spider-Man, we all have our favorites. We all have our favorite Batman, our favorite Joker, and sometimes there's nothing you can do to take that away.
Let's hear ours. Let's hear ours real quick.
So, and
favorite Batman. Who's your favorite Batman, Ryan?
Bale all day.
Okay.
Battinson.
Really? Okay, I'm going Batfleck.
I'm going Battinson. I like Batfleck. I think he was more, and I think this worked for the movie that he was in. He was more capable, a more violent Batman. You know what I mean? Like he got in the mix more than I like my Batman. That's why
he was a Justice League Batman. He was a Justice League Batman. Yeah.
I've missed a lot of them, I'm sure, but Batfleck was just Justice League, right? That was the only.
He was in
Batman. Well, he was in Batman versus Superman too.
I don't know if I ever finished that. I kept trying, I just couldn't.
Yeah,
it's interesting. And again, nothing against Batfleck. I honestly think he would have made a phenomenal Batman continuing, like the one that he wanted to make against Deathstroke would have been probably one of the best Batmen we've ever seen. I truly believe that because I think Batfleck was extraordinarily talented. I don't think any Batman in history, any Batman ever, will look the part of Batman more than Ben Affleck did. When Ben Affleck showed up as Batman, I was like, that's Batman. That is literally the closest to the comic book version of Batman that I've ever seen. And I
also thought that he did both roles combined better than any other Batman did. So Christian Bale was a great Batman. he wasn't the greatest Bruce Wayne. Michael
I
Keaton
like him as Bruce Wayne.
did well with both. Val Kilmer was more of a Bruce Wayne than he was a Batman. Same with George Clooney, right? They're the handsome guy. You can see them more as a Bruce Wayne.
Clooney's at the bottom of my list for sure.
Yeah. So I think Ben Affleck was able to pull off both the Bruce Wayne and the Batman perfectly.
Because to me, Pattinson is the best Batman. He's obviously not even really in the conversation as a Bruce Wayne, because even his Bruce Wayne was dark and brooding and misunderstood, which is not the typical Bruce Wayne.
Bro,
So
I felt like
a little emo there.
And the entire time, Pattinson was on stage, like, I'm just like,
Pattinson was perpetually headed to the Black Parade.
Emo, man, like, come on.
No, I get you. I agree. But when you say Batman, yeah, Pattinson is definitely number one for me.
And I'm gonna say too, I don't think it's necessarily the Batman that really matters too, as so much as the story that gets told. Like
another reason
that trilogy, nope. It's already, you had 3 movies. You knew you were gonna make 3 movies. He made 3 great movies. Well, 2.5, 1.5. I don't know how you decided about it, but I liked all of them.
I thought the Batman, not Batman Forever. That's Val Kilmer. What's the last one that he did?
Batman and Robin.
No, the Batman. No, last one that Christian Bale did.
Batman. The Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. I think the end of that got really hammy, and that kind of really
it did.
It wasn't my favorite, but Dark Knight is a top 5. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're a comic book fan, Dark Knight is in your top 5.
You know, that's the greatest. That's the GOAT to me.
Yeah, it's hard
That's the number one GOAT.
A singular hero movie above Dark Knight for me.
Me, it's that, then probably Avengers.
It's the standard in terms of Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Pattinson's Gotham, Pattinson's city that he dealt with. That like Gotham has never felt more diseased and like a character in a movie than it did in the Batman.
See, that was the only problem with Bale's Batman, is that it was more like you knew that was New York City.
Right, or Chicago.
Like there wasn't really a whole lot of that screamed Gotham. I mean, it didn't necessarily had to, because the story itself was so great, but that was the only missing link from Christopher Nolan's Batman, is that it was
I didn't feel in the first movie or the second movie that Gotham was dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything seemed nefarious, under the table. People didn't like the actual citizens didn't have a pulse in those movies. In the Batman, the whole city and everybody he interacts with is a character in that movie. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Do I think it's getting canceled? No. Do I think that it's in jeopardy of that? If it loses Matt Reeves, that is a really tough loss, because it's his vision. He's the director. He's the one who adapted it for the screen. So without him, unless he's like a special consultant, I don't really get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's definitely damning, especially with what you're saying, because everything that you're putting on the plate here is 100% valid, because no matter what, there's a universe growing without that Batman. And what's to say, because the idea or the rumor about this one is that Clayface is going to be the villain, right?
Bruh.
And Clayface, and it's supposed to be a legitimate horror movie with Batman in it. Anytime you throw these superheroes in damned situations, or situations they're not necessarily going to win, I'm so there for it. And I think the premise of this movie is S tier. I think a Clayface done in that regard, oh my God, it would be fantastic. So, but at the same time, you have Clayface in Creature Commandos. You see Clayface in the Harley Quinn movie, and he's this goofy character. You see him in Suicide Squad, and he's goofy there too. So I'm like, you're going to do this thing where Clayface gets made in the Batman, and that this is obviously not done yet. It's all hypothetical. Then you get a Heath Ledger performance out of the CGI scary Clayface, to where nobody else wants to see anything but that. That's why I feel we haven't seen a true blue Joker, DCU level Joker like Heath Ledger would have been. You know, I like Joaquin Phoenix's first edition, but let's face it, he's not going to be a part of the bigger picture when it comes to the DCU. So you don't see anybody want to pick up that face paint in the purple suit and be that guy, because that to me is almost touted higher than the Batman conversation.
As long as we don't get 30 Seconds to Mars Joker, then I'm okay.
I have not disliked a Joker more than that one. And I get what he was trying to do. I really do. That's the old version of me that's just like, no, that's not Joker. That's not what I want. But sometimes I'm like, am I just being old?
No, there's nothing wrong with saying that. You're still allowed to have an opinion when you're older.
Sure. What do you think, Ryan? You think it's getting canceled?
I don't think so. I think they'll find a way.
I don't think DC can afford to shut down winners right now.
That was my other thing too. Is like, what does DC have? Like, they got to push something out and
stay relevant.
Especially if Superman bombs. Like, if Superman bombs, then they absolutely
that's a whole different conversation.
Batman.
You know, here's another element to this picture that I didn't really take into consideration, but it just hit me, is that there's really no other franchise or studio right now that's competing with the MCU, right? And I think Warner Brothers is looking at what Sony tried to do and what they failed miserably at doing, and that's having a separate universe from the main MCU universe that everyone loves and enjoys. There's a possibility there that people are like, well, if the DCU takes off the way we want it to, and if it grows the way we want it to, we don't want to have a secondary DC universe over here flopping.
Yeah. Because then you don't go anywhere from DCU.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he can't get this job done, we got bigger problems, right? I mean, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do to kind of steer the ship upwards, because if you reboot the DCU again, you've already lost me.
See, and that's
I will not be a part of a third reboot. There's no.
That's one of the things that's killing the second one for me, honestly. Is like, Henry Cavill, I want to see him. You know what I mean? Like, Gal Gadot, I've already got her. Like, I don't care which Batman you give me, either or Ben Affleck or whoever.
See, that was so disappointing about the DCEU, is that their casting was phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is arguably the greatest Superman we've ever had.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is up there in the argument with best Batman we've ever had. Gal Gadot I thought she was a phenomenal Wonder Woman, even though her second movie was terrible. I thought she was a great Wonder Woman.
I think a lot of people could play that role and do it very well.
But in terms of big name actresses that are actually going to give you that Amazonian feel to it, and not just some, big blonde white haired woman,
I don't want that.
Gal Gadot
that's not accurate for a Wonder Woman for me. But I get you. I don't know, man. I mean, I agree with some of that for sure. Like, I think Henry Cavill's fantastic. I think Ben Affleck's fantastic. Gal Gadot, she's good. Then what? Then what?
Oh boy, that's playing Lobo.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
I thought he was a good Aquaman.
He was good. I liked his take on Aquaman. I thought it was interesting, but that's what I was gonna say. Is like, you've lost him. You've lost the guy who played Cyborg, who did a very forgettable performance.
Yeah, his performance was not great.
Didn't care about.
You had the greatest Alfred of all time as well. R.I.P. Jeremy Irons.
I still think Michael Caine did a great job. I think every Alfred,
he's the GOAT.
Really good. Every Alfred's been good. Let's be honest. Then we've got who played Flash, Barry Allen.
Yeah, that was Ezra Miller. I mean, in hindsight, that's a terrible casting.
In foresight, no thank you. It was awful. I didn't think he was a good Barry. I mean, he was quirky, but I didn't at any point go, other than just my excitement to finally see
the
Flash,
right?
Be like, okay, I'm ready for Flash finally. And then it's him, and I'm like, it's okay because it's Flash. But then when you look back and you see some of the knockout castings they've had, you're like, what happened with this guy? What were you thinking?
Now, here's a question
his run being the stupidest shit I've ever seen.
I'd like to pose that I had a conversation with a friend in the other weekend, and he just said, DCU, don't bother, animate everything.
Okay.
He goes, hands down, DC has the best animated stuff that's been
that's not even an argument.
He goes,
right.
why keep trying to give me live action when it sucks? He goes, give me everything and give me like continuity. And
well, you know what, dude, that actually, I'm not even gonna lie to you, that's a brilliant idea for a couple different reasons. There's already a franchise that's animated that's knocking it out of the park, and that's the Across the Spider-Verse franchise.
And that's
I mean,
kind of
that'll compete with any live action movie, if we're being honest with you. And two, I mean, who's really doing that? I mean, even the Spider-Verse is only just the Spider-Verse. So you animate the entire Justice League, but on a massive scale.
yeah. Because he also said he brought up a lot of good points. He goes, got to think like movies and however long it goes, that takes 10 years. He goes, like, even if you were to cast Henry Cavill right now, he is not the same young 30-year-old Henry Cavill that we got before by the time it's done. You know what I mean? Which I agree with, but I also disagree with. But he goes, a voice never changes. You know what I mean? As long as you're still, I mean, unless it's How I Met Your Mother, and you go from being the one guy to being Bob Saget for no freaking reason, even you're both grown.
Oh, I
men.
got yeah.
The voice doesn't change, right?
I get you. I get
So-
you. I was wondering
Now,
where you were
hold on.
because
Now,
Ted
hold on.
voiced by Bob
But-
Saget.
but, yeah.
Right. Go
As a
ahead.
grown man, when he's a grown man, I'm sorry, I never got that.
That's How I Met Your Mother. It sounds like Bob Saget, and then you see the guy, you're like, this is an adult.
Why is his voice this way?
Anyway,
If you look at it from the opposite end of the spectrum, though, I mean, we've already seen that in the MCU. I mean, we've seen Robert Downey Jr. age 15 years. We've seen Thor, Chris Hemsworth age 15 years. So, I mean, if it goes along with the story, like, you know, I mean, the way the story with Marvel has adapted, I mean, it's perfect with Chris Hemsworth aging. Same with Chris Evans. So I think you could mold the story around that to have it work out in your benefit.
I think that live action is always going to outsell animated.
that was my argument.
So I think the studio wants tangible assets of actors that when you see that actor out there in the world, you go, oh, that's so and so. And I think they like having those people because there's just more visibility. It's more namesake. Because if it's animated, there have been plenty of animated movies with all-star casts, and it just doesn't matter. Now, Spider-Verse, excellent example of how you can make something successful as an animated movie. I agree with Rhino's comment. Into the Spider-Verse can stand with any live action movie. It's just that good. However, I think it's an anomaly. I think it's one of one because of what your boy has said. I got on here and ranted and raved about how good Justice League Dark Apocalypse War was. That movie was incredible.
Yeah, it was
Except,
great.
Of course, the end. The ending was like, why the did we do this? But still, they have been putting out banger after banger after banger, but nobody cares.
And
You're
that
not
was-
putting that out on the big screen because nobody at the end of the day is going to go see it. You're going to make more money animating it on a lower budget with lesser known actors and throwing that sucker on the shelf at Target and making more money.
that was kind of my argument because as much as we say like, oh, Into the Spider-Verse is an awesome movie, how many of us actually went and saw that in the theaters? I know I didn't.
I did.
See?
Spider-Verse for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw them both in the
Yeah.
theater.
Well, see me, I guess I'm different because I didn't go, but I also don't have.
I saw the second one in the theater just because of how dope the first one was. So
Okay,
I didn't see
so
the first
that
one in theaters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. So that might have changed it up. I still haven't seen the second one. I don't think.
I had kids appropriate aged for watching that at theaters, and it was just fun. So yeah, I definitely
So
took the
that
kids
was-
to go see that. for
that
sure.
was my other thing. If you didn't take the kids, would you have gone and saw it just by yourself?
yeah,
Probably.
yeah, because I think Miles Morales is that compelling of a character, and the
Yeah.
way they drew that up. And to me, music makes a massive deal for a movie, and that hook, just that shot of him jumping upside down and falling
Yeah.
into New York City. To me, I was like, y'all got something great here. It's like the first
Yeah.
time you see Sin City and you see that black and white and the way that they shot that to make it so unique and different. The moment you saw that, you were like, this is going to be special. Same thing happened to me for Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I just read something the other day that Elijah Wood and the other guy never actually met each other on set.
Elijah Wood.
Yeah, from Sin City.
Oh,
Yeah.
Elijah Wood and
What's his face?
oh my gosh, Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, they never actually met each other the entire time that movie was shot and filmed and done. They met each other after the fact at like
I love Elijah Wood.
at one of those like
By
what
the
is it,
way,
red
gang,
carpet, yeah, type of things. But they had never
This-
met each other. That
this
whole
is a-
movie was shot without them meeting each other.
this is a bit
It's
of a
crazy.
tangent that I just want to talk about because you brought up Elijah Wood, so I'm going to do it.
All right.
What I've been doing, because Megan, as you know, is absent from the show lately. She has been reading a ton of books, and we play D&D every Wednesday. And all of her, and we have a couple of her friends that come over, and it always turns into a half an hour of talking about these books. And then Bing Bong found out she was the only princess in 1,000 years to be able to tame this untamable dragon wolf, and they then happened to have sex with this guy, and he turns out to be the prince of another. I'm like, okay, great. My new defense is to start talking about The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings from its inception, the moment that conversation starts. And I'll make eye contact with somebody and go, so Frodo, unbeknownst to him, has found the One Ring of Power. I just invite you all, anytime your female is starting to go off on those tangents, find something that you know is a good story and just start telling it.
Just looking at them
As she's telling it. And then she'll look at you like mine looks at me and it's like, you're making fun of me. I'm like, no, I'm doing the exact same thing that you're doing.
in a galaxy far, far away.
There you go.
Oh,
That's my go-to story now. Lord of the Rings. Let's take a very quick break, El Breakerino, and then we'll be right back with our other topics for today. And then, we're going to cut class out and let you guys go live your lives. So we'll see you in just a minute.
see,
And we're back.
oh,
Sorry. I was mid-press of button when you started your sentence. Go on, Ryan. You've got some controversy as well. You've got some hot button topics that you want to throw our way.
Yes, as I was also talking to my friend on the other night.
Same friend, by the way.
Same friend, Rick. Shout out to you, bro.
Shout out to
and
who?
then Rick.
Okay, Rick.
Yeah, boy, they're coming after you for this one.
No, we're not coming after you, but we definitely have things to say.
Is Feige still the homie?
Now, when you say the homie,
is he still the guy that we are trusting with the MCU?
1,000%.
Okay.
Okay. Why do you think?
I'll go off of what we were just talking about during the break. With the recent productions, the recent media they've given us, it's restored a lot of the confidence that was lost kind of at the peak of the Kang saga. It started with X-Men 97. That's honestly where the faith started coming back into the MCU, was X-Men 97. And then we've gotten Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought Deadpool and Wolverine was brilliant. We've gotten Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was brilliant. We've gotten Captain America. I'm not going to say brilliant, but it was good. It was great for what it was supposed to be. And then now Daredevil. I think Daredevil is probably going to end up being in the top 3 Marvel seasons. So
that's what I would say for the Feige argument. I agree with Rhino. I still think Feige's the man. I think Feige is the reason the ship has been righted. Does it make sense for Rick to lose faith in Feige? Sorry, Rick, I'm just fucking around. Yes, it absolutely makes sense why somebody would doubt that. 1,000%. But you also got to remember, after Endgame was done, Marvel exploded into content overload. We were sitting here on this show, super hyped about this huge mega slate of entertainment that was coming out because we just eat it up. It's so good.
Whoa, don't you throw me in there with you guys.
Even you, Big Black.
All
you
I
watched
wanted was
every
Spider-Man.
minute of it.
I said Spider-Man was going to be the only thing that was going to be good, and I said that from the beginning.
Well, we'll go back and check the records on that. But what I was going to say
I bet you a nice tight Jerry curl.
they definitely overdid it, and Feige's plate was way too big.
That's what I was going to say. Is he overextended himself? And I think when it comes to production and when it comes to movies and TV, what people don't seem to realize is these productions have been finished for maybe a year or maybe 6 months, and they're just, they're not fresh off the editing table when they go out and get released. These are tested and all this other kind of stuff. So by the time Feige realizes his garage is on fire, he has to get in there and put that out before he starts the rebuild. So you did get a lot of, let's be frank, trash content, and you lost a ton of continuity, and you lost a ton of faith from a lot of your faithful people on this show included. We're just kind of like, I don't know what the hell they're doing. So do I think Feige is the guy to right that ship? Yeah. Do I think he's always going to be that guy? No. He's probably made himself a nice little nest egg, is going to buy a small country and then go live there for the rest of his days. And then that's another conversation to have of what we're going to do from there, because that's just those are big shoes to fill. But I think Feige right now, what he's pulling out is still fantastic. Just like what Rhino said, we got X-Men 97, we've got
That was
Daredevil.
wasn't that Jon Favreau? A lot of that.
No, but the executive
It's
producer,
still, yeah,
who puts
it's
the final stamp and oversees production from start to finish. Yeah, that's probably still part of Favreau, but Feige is the one over that. Favreau has had to take a giant step back because he's essentially the head of Lucasfilm right now. He's doing
Yeah.
more Star Wars than he is Marvel, but still, yes, in Feige we trust because at the end of the day, he is the first name build. He's the one that puts the stamp on it. So the latest stuff that he's done, Feige Productions, have been fantastic. I enjoyed Captain America, maybe more than other folks in this room. That's fine.
I
But-
did.
No, of course.
That's all.
But then, like I said, we've got Daredevil. We've had other movies that are slated to do really, really well.
Can I say
And-
something controversial?
Sure.
Okay, it's going to be a little controversial, but I think it's opinion that quite a few people share. This was also during the time when we had the terrible quality of Marvel productions. This was also during the time when Disney was really heightening its, I hate to use this word, but woke overload.
So that was one of the things that I was going to talk about.
I mean, we saw this with Star Wars really bad. We saw this with the Kathleen Kennedy hire.
Exactly.
And we all know what Kathleen Kennedy did to Star Wars.
Fucking gay.
Exactly.
And I think there was a lot of pressure from Disney on Kevin Feige of doing that with a lot of his Marvel productions. And I know you love the show. I'm not trying to hate it all here, but She-Hulk, for instance.
Yeah,
I understand the women's struggles aspect of that show, and I appreciate that, but they slammed that in our face every episode.
The Marvels was another
They didn't
thing.
need to.
I'd say the Marvels more than, maybe not more than She-Hulk because it was a different medium and a different delivery. I get She-Hulk and why they did what they did, and I know you said that you do too. So, that's one of those things where it's like, well, maybe that one's not for everybody. But I agree with your comments for
Yeah.
sure. I still enjoyed the show. The finale on that was even worse than any production that's been out. I don't know what the hell they were doing with that. The finale of that show was the biggest belly flop I've seen of a show in a while. It was like, to me, Quantumania level belly flop, whereas the rest of the show to me was hitting. It was doing so well. I was really into it. I liked Daredevil being in that. I liked his new stuff, but I don't know. I think She-Hulk definitely deserves to be back, and she's an excellent character. I guess you don't want to see the Eternals anymore. I definitely want to see She-Hulk again soon.
Well, we'll see She-Hulk for sure. But yeah, like the gist of what I was saying is I think there also may have been a little bit of a pressure from Disney on Feige, like, hey, we want you to do this, want you to do that. And we don't have that anymore from Disney. Obviously, they've pumped the brakes on that quite a bit. So I think you're going to start seeing more originality out of Feige than you had maybe over the past 3-4 years.
Because that was one of his big things. Like, and I understand it because I'm the same boat. I'm like, bro, if you back down and you let them get away with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you either stand 10 toes down, like, no, we're not doing that. I don't care what you. But at the same time, I'm not. My paycheck got how many commas? You know what? She-Hulk, let her do what she does. They like it, they like it. They don't, they don't. I'm still buying that small island after this. Who cares?
I think though in Hollywood, I think you do have a very select group of people that the dollar figures do not matter to them because their creativity is what's most important. And I think Feige is one of those people.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But yeah, to circumvent all that, Feige definitely is the homie. He's still there. And I think everybody's learned their lesson from woke culture and bending to the 1% for a lot of this stuff, or basically the vocal 1%. And that is not to disclude their values and what they think is important. Hey, what you think is important is what you think is important. However, that doesn't mean the entirety of society is to change based on your beliefs. So, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Don't be triggered because people don't want to conform to everything that you want to do. Anyway, I think Feige's the homie for sure.
Right.
I am really excited to see. This is a little bit of an off topic, but kind of an offshoot of what we just talked about. I'm really excited to see if Dave Filoni can take that Kevin Feige like step with Star Wars. If there
And-
was a dude to do it, it is Dave Filoni because almost his entire career has been immersed in Star Wars.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything, in my opinion. I get what you're saying, but Filoni had a couple of hits, but he hasn't done any big movies yet, right? Or has he? What Star Wars movies has Filoni done? Or that he was?
He's done. I don't think he's done any movies yet, unless it's been smaller contributions. But
Let's look it
all
up.
right, I got it.
It's worth a goog.
I'm
Okay, hold
googing.
on. Let me hit it.
I actually have the IMDb app for this.
Yeah, by the way, just to let you know, episode 188 of the Alter Ego podcast is sponsored by Soul Glow. If you're looking for a little hair product, you want your Jerry curl to bounce and moisten the back of your couch, go ahead and check out Soul Glow at 1-800-SOUL-GLOW and tell them the Alter Ego podcast sent you. All right, so on to...
So this is what he has directed.
It actually calls that number.
Please do. Let us know how it goes.
So this is what he has credits for actually directing. So he directed.
I want executive producer as well. That's more important to me for
Well,
him.
hold on.
Chair, but go ahead.
Let me start with director because the list isn't actually very long. Clone Wars Legacy, Star Wars Rebels, The Clone Wars. He did a few episodes of The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka, and Tales of the Empire. His first movie is going to be called Star Wars Tales of the Underworld. Now that's director credits. Let me go to
Tales of the Underworld.
yeah.
Oh man, I hope
Is
it's
that a
Donald
live action?
Glover, like
It's he's getting a live action movie, yeah.
Right, but what's
And that'll be huh?
Okay. No, I didn't know.
Here's his producer credits. So it's going to be a lot of the same. Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Star Wars Resistance, Star Wars The Clone Wars, The Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, The Mandalorian, Young Jedi Adventures, Ahsoka, The Bad Batch, Tales of the Empire, Skeleton Crew. He's also producing. He's the executive producer for his movie Tales of the Underworld. He's also producing The Mandalorian and Grogu as well.
So to me, Star Wars Rebels obviously a winner. Bad Batch, it was good. I still haven't finished the finale because it just got that boring. The thing that Star Wars doesn't do well to me in their shows, other than the Mandalorian, or not Mandalorian, Andor. Andor has been great with this particular facet, but other shows, they jump around way too much. They are just kind of contained episodic shows that have a loose narrative that supposedly ties in at the end. When there's another episode where, it's like, let's talk about Book of Boba Fett, the one that I was so hyped for, because y'all know in this show, I love me some Boba Fett. They did an entire episode about Mandalorian in the Boba Fett show.
They did.
I'm like, guys, stick to the subject, stay on task. I get that it's this big universal scope of storytelling, but if you have something with the main characters in the name and you do an episode that the character is not in that episode, help me understand.
this is the way.
Yeah, I just don't get it. And I think I think you're right. His knowledge is good, but sometimes that doesn't translate to a good product on screen.
Well, it did with Kevin Feige.
That's Kevin Feige. I'm saying
All of his work, there was only one thing that he had worked on other than comic book movies before he started becoming executive producer of the MCU. I mean, he was the executive producer of like 8 different Marvel movies before the MCU.
And Feige's been great.
Yeah.
But in all those movies, if it was before the MCU, 8 movies of the comic book nature before the MCU.
Yeah. So you might not even know this list, but let me rattle off some of the movies he's been executive producer on.
Okay.
So he started his regular producing career with the original X-Men. He produced X-Men, Daredevil, X2, X-Men United, the first Hulk, the first Punisher, Spider-Man 2, Elektra, Man-Thing.
Is that Eric Bana? First Hulk?
Yeah. Fantastic Four, X-Men Last Stand, Spider-Man 3. He was the executive producer and X-Men Last Stand and Fantastic Four. Then he started doing a little bit of MCU work. He was the executive producer of Punisher Warzone, and he was the executive producer of The Amazing Spider-Man.
So not all winners for Feige either.
But he did have that experience. I mean, let me see. The only other project he worked on other than comic book movies was actually nothing.
Was Herbie 2 Fully Loaded?
He was the assistant to Miss Schuler Donner on You've Got Mail.
Uh-oh, Tom Hanks is involved. And Meg Ryan.
So I think there's an element there that we're kind of missing here. When your entire career is dedicated to one universe, it's for a specific reason. It's not because you can't get hired doing anything else. It's because you are dedicated to that universe. You want to put your creativity into that. And I think that's what Dave Filoni has. I don't think that's what previous studio heads had. That's not what Kathleen Kennedy had. She didn't have that in mind when she took over Star Wars. And we've seen that with several other franchises as well, but he has dedicated his entire career to working with Star Wars.
Put a chick in it
And
make her fucking gay. Excuse me, I ordered the linguine and I asked you to put a chick in it and make her gay. Well, it's not really possible. It's pasta. Well, it's really possible. You know how you do it? You did it. Put a fucking chick in it and make her fucking gay. South Park buried her for me. I'm sorry. I will never take the name Kathleen
Right?
Kennedy seriously
Seriously,
ever again.
Not even if there's a fire.
I'm not calling her dad.
Well, she did that with everything they produced under her, but yeah.
Exactly. But okay, so one of those things that Kevin Feige has produced that I've watched in its entirety, as it's now over, is Daredevil Born Again. Do I think that this show is a perfect 10? No. It has missteps. It has things about it that are like, okay, move along, please. It has some lines that are really, really serious misses. But
that it does.
Overall, I would put this show up there with, and this is my list, so please, I put it up there with WandaVision, Loki, and Hawkeye.
Oh,
I think those were excellent shows, in my opinion. Is Daredevil breaking the mold of what a show can be? In some ways, for Disney, yeah. You're going to watch this show on Disney Plus and go and sit there and go, wait, this is Disney?
Disney? I actually said that. Like the first F-bomb that was dropped in that show, I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Did you say that?
They drop F-bombs. There is some violence that even Netflix didn't give you.
Yeah.
There is a lot to love about Daredevil. I definitely have some issues with it. There is a performer that I'm like, okay, at this point, the time has been put in, whatever.
Vanessa.
I just want you to know that
I used to pick corn as a boy.
the city.
Sitting out in the field, it was so hot. It was 98 degrees easily.
Love New York.
We used to get ticks on our back.
Yeah.
Our mother would use peppermint oil to get them off.
I can actually grow hair, but I like the way it shines at anyone who looks at me in the sun. Vanessa.
man, he's running the same voice as Edgar.
It is. Oh my God, sugar and water.
Sugar.
But at the end of the
Give me
day,
sugar.
D'Onofrio has put in enough time. He's the Kingpin. When I see him,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is Kingpin. I get over it. Even though I have those qualms about the delivery of his lines and the way that he plays this character, yeah, it's very forgivable. I'm like, okay, great. Because he's trying to go for a specific thing, and for what he's going for, he's nailing it.
I have a feeling his next production it'll be toned down a little bit because that's been one of the biggest negative reviews about the series is him.
That's been everything. Has been
Yeah.
him and people talking about the way that he talks all show.
I think that'll be toned down a little bit.
If this is what was changed, I'm glad they changed what they did. I don't know. If this is the product that we got, that's all the reshoots and all that, which obviously it is, then I think it's in a good place. The biggest suffering in this show is the supporting cast. I think a lot of those characters could have used a lot more time to be fleshed out, be a part of Daredevil and or Kingpin's lives, get more time with that. What this does so much better than the original Daredevils is what we were talking about with Batman and how Gotham feels like a lived-in city. This takes New York and makes it an actual character in the show. And that I'm just like, finally. I think they did the best job they possibly could have with making New York City a living, breathing character of this show. And you get so much time with just the city itself and the impact that Kingpin and Daredevil has had on them is very well felt. But yeah, some of it fell apart. That's for sure. But all in all, this show sets up more Daredevil, which if that's the case, sign me up. I'm here.
Season 2 has already been confirmed.
Signs me up for it's already shooting. Season 2 is already shooting and in production.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's hypes me up for the Punisher, who is in all the marketing, so don't act surprised that I say Punisher. I will say this. There is a Punisher moment in this show that I stopped the TV show. I went and got Megan up from her book. I was like, you got to watch this shit. You got to watch this right now. Put the book down. You got to come see this. And we were like, oh my God. It's in the finale. You will enjoy it. If I know you like I think I know you, dear listeners. But all in all, Daredevil, great showing. Just for me personally, if I'm putting it up there with WandaVision and Loki, you know it's good because those shows were excellent.
I think it would be in my top 3 as well behind those two. I think it would go season 1 Loki, season 1 WandaVision, season 1 Daredevil is what I would put in order.
Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah. Yes. Daredevil Born Again. Yes.
Yeah, I'm putting Daredevil and Hawkeye. And remember, Hawkeye is one of my favorite heroes of all time. So a show dedicated to him, naturally, I hold it in high regard.
But he wasn't even in the show as a girl. So
what are you? You didn't watch it?
Fair. I mean,
you didn't watch it.
No, I did.
Then you know that's not true.
I mean, it's not about Hawkeye though.
Yes, it is.
It's about Kate Bishop.
It's not. She's the number 1 supporting character, but it's not about her.
It's about her.
It's not about
and
her.
The pizza. And
it's about her.
Right? You guys are incorrect.
We're not. We're not at all.
She's a big supporting character, but it's not about her.
What else, bro?
Anyway, gang. You guys are
perfect
fantastic.
Timing.
Thank you so much for being here with us on the Alter Ego podcast, episode 188. Next week, we will have everybody in the room and be bringing you more high-octane nerd content. So we will see you next week. Rhino, Ryan, anything to say to the kids before we go?
Daredevil spoilers next week.
Hawkeye is definitely not about Hawkeye.
You have no leg to stand on here.
I got 2 legs, bro.
Nah, no, they can't see him. My man's in a wheelchair. What do you know about Ryan?
You know,
anyway,
in theory, we've never seen him stand up on the show.
Episode 189 next week. See you guys later.